From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBIC, the Primetime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. And pretty much, let's go ahead and jump into it. You guys already know what time it is. Lamar Jackson officially asks for a trade from the Ravens. Will it happen or will they make a deal? You know, I felt very strongly that, it was all theater and, Lamar just kind of wanted to make sure his name was in the mix. And I think the media wanted to make sure Lamar's name was in the mix. You want to make sure that, the Ravens were kind of in the mix and everything like that. But then it's just like it's not moving forward at all. But it's not like he's not under contract with this team at the end of the day. What they're trying to do is get a contract extension going on. He's still a Raven at the end of the day. And they did give him the opportunity to go ahead and flirt with other teams because he did get franchise tagged and that he's on a non-exclusive, meaning that whoever signs him is going to have to give up a king's ransom for him. None of those teams want to do that. That's the biggest issue with Lamar Jackson right now, is that with the way that these quarterback contracts are working out nowadays, a lot of these quarterbacks have not done their end of the bargain. And I think that's a major excuse. I think that we all know that Lamar Jackson is a bona fide winner in the NFL. It's really simple to see. He's been able to really make a niche for himself as well. But I just think that what happens here is that you have the same excitement that you have for Michael Vick early in his career, where he was a great running quarterback and you felt like he didn't pass the ball enough, but he runs enough to where he makes it so exciting for you, right? But at the end of the day, though, the guy's a quality player, and he's a great leader as well, too. And I just don't understand why is it taking so long to either get rid of him or to actually pay him. What's going on, nephew? I hope everything is good with you today. I'm glad that you are participating. Make sure that you do share the show on Twitter as we speak. So, Lamar is a guy that really has played his absolute best with the Ravens. It's like you should have knew that this guy was going to be special coming into the NFL. He was a two-time ACC Player of the Year, Heisman Trophy winner, and literally lit up college football as a freshman. So pretty much this guy is always been kind of somebody that has been taken for granted. And really people feel like, no, I don't have to do all this. It's only Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson's just not that good of a player. And then he keeps proving that he's that good of a player. It's been going on since draft night when he was drafted at 25, and everybody said that the Ravens felt bad for him, and so they moved up to go get him. No, the Ravens saw that they had the best quarterback on the board, and he was still available at the time, because people have to understand Lamar Jackson was the best quarterback coming out of college that year. I know you guys base everything on the combine and base everything on some drill, or base everything on somebody throwing the ball 70 yards down the field. But when it came down to the real X's and O's, and when you cut the tape on, was anybody better than Lamar Jackson coming into that draft? I'll wait. Not even precious Josh Allen. And I love Josh Allen. But Josh Allen had questions. Lamar Jackson was doing everything that Josh Allen was doing, but we all know why, you question Lamar. So I'm not going to get into that. But at the end of the day, I feel like they devalue the position a little bit more when it's a certain person that's the position. You know what I mean? And when it's one of their people, they're going to make sure that he gets his $200 million. I don't think that's fair at the end of the day. Lamar Jackson is a most valuable player in this league. He's just trying to get a fair second contract that calls for, the amount that a former MVP should be making who's not even been in the league for 10 years. So why is it becoming such a obstacle to do this deal for the Ravens? I think that the Ravens know that at the end of the day, they have a really great team. And Lamar Jackson is not somebody that they need. He's a luxury and I think that really weighs to be true. And I think that he might have outpriced himself here in Baltimore, because Baltimore probably had it in the back of their head that, we could possibly go to the playoffs with Huntley. Huntley has been able to close out the last 2 seasons in tremendous fashion. We missed the playoffs one year, but we still made the playoffs the next year. And it wasn't like we really fell off. You lost 1 game without Lamar. So at the end of the day, this is just going to be something that's going to keep dragging out. It's going to get uglier and uglier. And I just say this, go ahead and just wash your hands with it. I would say these are the 3 teams that really need to go ahead and chase Lamar right now. The Bucs just got Baker Mayfield, so I think they'll be out of it. But I think that Atlanta, they'll tell themselves, would we be better with Ritter or would we be better with Lamar Jackson? I would say that, you know what? Baltimore should try to acquire Ritter in exchange for, and it doesn't make sense now, but it's literally, you're saying that you're trading for the same type of quarterback because the way you're not valuing Lamar. And pretty much now you got a rookie contract. You got a cheap contract. Since you want to play so cheap at the most important position on the field, go ahead and go get a guy that would be a backup anywhere else. But he's going to be a starter in Atlanta next season. But I don't know. Atlanta might not want to interrupt that situation with overpaying a quarterback. So I feel like the best deal, if you're going to get rid of Lamar, just trade for Jared Goff straight up. Stop looking for picks. Stop looking for something extra. Just trade him straight up for Jared Goff. Jared Goff will be a great quarterback for the Ravens. It would just be like him taking over the Rams again. He got a great defense on the other side, and you know what? He can make do with the playmakers that they give him. It's that simple. And then you can give Lamar Swift. You can give Lamar Amon-Ra Brown. You can give Lamar Jameson Williams. You can give him so many great players that the Detroit has. And Detroit would be right in position to win the NFC North. I think that's a no-brainer at this point. Don't you think? So we'll see more, and there will be more Lamar drama as we go and move forward. I would say, though, another team that can possibly go after Lamar is the Indianapolis Colts as well. But the Indianapolis Colts are in the position right now where they do probably want to just add a rookie quarterback because they've been kind of shafted the last few years with their last 3 quarterbacks. They had Phillip Rivers, who was already an old man. They had Carson Wentz, who played a great first 10 games of the season, fell apart. Then they had Matt Ryan last year, pretty much on his last leg. So I don't know where the Colts can go from here. I would say it would be the smartest move to go get another veteran. And if you can give up that 4th pick in the draft for Lamar and keep yourself out of the idea that you might have a potential face of the franchise, because I don't think Anthony Richardson's a great fit for the Colts. And honestly, I don't think that C.J. Stroud's a great fit for the Colts. I think the best player for the Colts right now at the quarterback position would be Bryce Young. But if they want to say, you know what, we want to really know that we're going to win right away, there's no doubt in my mind you just go after Lamar. Seriously, you just go after Lamar. And I think that would be a great deal, but they're not a good fit because who runs the front office? That's the problem. So pretty much I would say that the 2 teams that really do need to look at bringing in Lamar Jackson are Atlanta and Detroit. And I'm just going to keep it real. I know this is going to kind of piss off some people and everything like that. They're black markets, okay? And they'll be gung-ho behind their quarterback. It's that simple, all right? Atlanta and Detroit are great markets for Lamar Jackson. Okay, it's that simple. Indianapolis is not the market for him. But the thing is, with Lamar Jackson, with a player like this, any market is good for Lamar Jackson. But I'm just going ahead and just looking at those 2 chocolate cities and know that they would go absolutely ape-ish over Lamar being their quarterback. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Let's go ahead and get into the boxing world real quick. And we have Anthony Joshua going against Jermaine Franklin. Jermaine Franklin is coming off of a close loss to Dylan White. Dylan White is the guy that Anthony Joshua beat up like almost a decade ago, real early in their careers as well too. It was a big UK English rivalry and everything like that with those two guys. So pretty much they do have a common opponent. And I think he might have caught Dylan White a little bit too late in his career. But you guys, AJ right at the right time. And AJ is a new man now. He's went ahead and he's on his third trainer since his last few fights, because we all know that he lost to Usyk the last 2 times out. And this is the first time in about a decade that Anthony Joshua is going to be in a fight where there's no belt on the line as well, too, because you guys still got to understand, yeah, he lost his belt twice in the last 4 years, but he was still able to always have a title fight. So this is the first non-title fight for him. This is the first non-title fight for him in some time. So this is a good tune-up fight for Anthony Joshua, who's a very talented boxer, who even said this week that if he doesn't win this fight, he'll retire straight up. And I know you hear a lot of boxers say that, but I think he's very serious about that as well, too. Anthony Joshua could retire today, and he's still going to be a Hall of Famer. You got to understand that part. The guy is one of the youngest heavyweight champions ever, literally won a heavyweight championship, 15, 16 fights out like damn near immediately. And he was able to, and we know that he kind of beat a mark in Charles Martin at the time, who was kind of like handed the belt in a sense, but all in all, it was still the fight, and the fight happened. And then the greatest thing about Anthony Joshua is he stopped Klitschko. I know Klitschko was pretty much at the end of the road, but he stopped Vladimir. He stopped Klitschko straight up. Okay, he stopped Vladimir Klitschko. It was a great fight between two great fighters, both going to be Hall of Famers and everything, and it was a definitive win. You know that you can always question Tyson Fury's win over Klitschko. Everybody knows that as well, too, because it was a decision, and it was a decision that was a split decision as well, too. So, judges seemed to be like they were tired of Klitschko at that moment when Klitschko actually lost that belt. But when Anthony Joshua beat him, it was a definitive win. It's different. So Anthony Joshua was able to hold 4 belts simultaneously for almost 5, 6, 7 years. And that was absolutely incredible because he was able to realize his dreams as well, too. So the guy has gold medals. He's unified. He was a unified heavyweight champion. The only belt that he's never had was the Ring Magazine belt and the WBC belt. And I know that we'll talk about the lineal championship as well, too, because that belongs to Tyson Fury as well. But they stopped talking about lineal championships once Tyson Fury won the WBC belt. I haven't heard anybody talk about lineal and all that other imaginary stuff that they did to make Tyson Fury feel good about himself when he fought Deontay the first few times. So pretty much we have a fight to where Anthony Joshua is going to go against somebody that will be somewhat of a challenge. Jermaine Franklin is a guy that has a lot of pride, and he's a guy who's very tough, but I really do not see him lasting too long with Anthony Joshua because he had a lot of issues with Dylan White. Dylan White is still kind of punch drunk from those 2 beatdowns that he caught within the last 3 years as well, too. Not beatdowns, but, he got Fury had his way with him. And then also, he lost to Povetkin as well, too. So pretty much with that, I think that AJ will be a guy that really goes into this fight more than focused than ever because he's going to have Derrick James as his trainer. Derrick James already trains Charlo, and he also trains none other than the big fish himself, Errol Spence. And we also have came to really like Frank Martin, but I've known about Frank Martin the last 3 years or so. And I know that Frank Martin is more about him being up under Arrow's banner than anything that gets the fanfare. But he's a great, great boxer. I actually think that he's probably the best 135 in the world right now as well, too. And I said that well before the Michael Rivera fight as well. And people thought I was crazy when I said this, but it's cool. Now everybody wants Frank Martin to fight Shakur, fight Haney, fight Tank, fight everybody. So, I know talent. I know talent very well in the boxing game. So pretty much I think that this talented guy right here, Anthony Joshua, will go ahead and prevail on Saturday night, get himself a good knockout to, get his spirits back up, because him and Derek James have a real plan in place. And it's going to be interesting to see how well Derek James does with a heavyweight boxer as well, too. And hopefully this is going to be a tune-up for his next big fight. And that next big fight will possibly be against Deontay Wilder, or possibly be against Tyson Fury in the coming months. But I think that Anthony Joshua is just going to put himself on a path to just go ahead and show and prove that he's still one of the top elite heavyweights in boxing. And, I think that he's looking more for fights that have to do with the money and things of that nature. So there it is. And pretty much that's going to be the report that I have for AJ returning to the ring. And I feel good about it. So there it is. All right. So we have ourselves 30 teams in 30 days, and we kind of accelerated a little bit. We have to do 2 teams again today. Tomorrow we'll finish up with none other than the Blue Crew themselves. And I do have some Dodger news to talk about today anyway, but that's going to come up on our break. But we're reviewing the NL West this week. I talked about the 2 lowly teams yesterday in the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about 2 teams that should be at the top of the division this year, or fighting to be at the top of the division this year. And that's going to be, first up, San Diego. San Diego is a team that a lot of people are very intrigued with, because they do have a lot of things working out in their favor right now. They do have the great Juan Soto, the Dodger killer himself. Also, they got Xander Bogaerts, another Dodger killer as well, but a very adequate player to be exact. And then you have Manny Machado, the former Dodger, who is not the best. It did not leave the Dodgers on the best terms. So, he's probably the most hated Padre when it comes to the fans over here at the Ravine. They also added Matt Carpenter, who's probably the best, probably the most consistent hitter, not named Aaron Judge, on the Yankees last year. Ho-Sung Kim, their very versatile second baseman, who was a key factor in them beating the Dodgers in Game 4 last year as well. Trent Grisham is back as well, too, who's a very good outfielder, very serviceable for this team. They're very good catcher, Austin Noya, who's a very good, clutch hitter for these guys. He's not projected to hit a lot of home runs this year, but he is somebody who always figures out a way to get a big hit when they need it. And then you got David Dahl, who's going to be pretty much the new kid on the block, but he's going to be a platoon player from what I can see here. They don't have him projected to have that many at bats. And then they do have a bunch of guys that are on the slide right now as well, too. Fernando Tatis Jr. is still on the 40-man roster, but he's not going to be available for about a month or two. He had an 80-game suspension, so he's not going to be back right away. Nelson Cruz is somebody that's still trying to get back into it. He went 0 for 3 on Wednesday, but he should be there as well, too. He's on the 40-man roster, but he'll be somebody that's going to be in and out the lineup as well, too. So he'll probably be the guy that does wind up being the DH most times, but I don't know if he'll be the guy on opening day. They also have Odor, who's everybody remembers having his issue years ago with Batista. So that should be fun. And they got a former Dodger as well, too, Matt Beatty, that's a part of this group as well. He's a designated hitter too. So they got some pretty good hitters when it comes down to it, especially guys that are not actually in the opening day plans, but they'll be around this season. And then you look at their pitching rotation and you say to yourself, this pitching rotation is not as good as rotation last year, but that's because once again they got guys hurt. Joe Musgrove is going to be out till mid-April. That's going to be kind of key because he's replaced by a guy that is kind of suspect in a sense in Nick Martinez. Then you have Seth Lugo, who was a decent pitcher in New York and seems to be a guy that they can maybe rely on this year as well too. But Yu Darvish and Blake Snell are going to be asked to do a lot here to start the season off. And we both know that Yu Darvish and Blake Snell, when they're on, they're on. And when they're off, they're off. So I don't rate the Padres pitching staff as a great pitching staff this year. I'll just be honest with you. I think that the pitching staff could be the liability for this team. And I think that it would be something that would be very, very, fortunate for them to really be a top 10 pitching team. Because if they are a top 10 pitching team, they'll probably go to the World Series this year. But as usual, the Padres are not perfect. And they had to sacrifice a lot of the farm to get the team that they have today. And when I look at the projected numbers, they're saying Juan Soto is going to have another big season, 29 home runs projected, 104 RBI, 104 runs with 87 RBIs this year, and batting 281. Okay, and his on-base percentage will be, the best 428 and slugging 511. So it looks like he's going to be a tremendous player, but he is on pace to be the guy that actually walks the most out this team this year, but strikes out damn near the least this year out of all the top hitters as well. But it looks like they can always go after Manny Machado and Bogarts as well. So I don't like the way that this group is when it comes to walk and strikeout ratio, to be exact, especially Bogarts and Machado. So I don't see the clutch factor in this team. And I know it seems like I'm hating because that I do like the Dodgers and I love the Dodgers. But thing is, though, I never talk about teams with my heart. If the Dodgers aren't good, they aren't good. If they're medium, they're mid. If they're mid, they're mid. It's that simple. So I'll always be honest about my takes on this. Yes, the Padres are a team that is a favorite to do something real big this year. And that's very warranted because they do have the best lineup in the division. Let's keep it real. But at the same time, they don't have the best pitching. And in the wild NL West, you have to have the best pitching. Ask Colorado. Colorado has some of the best hitters in the division, but they still keep finishing last or fourth place. Same thing goes for Arizona. So pretty much you can't rely so much on hitting. So pretty much at the end of the day, you're going to have some good pitching. And I think that the Padres will probably be a team that will be buying some more players, but it won't be hitters this time. They're going to try to go after pitchers during the mid-season trade deadline, from what I can see, because I don't see this team being ahead of the pack early in the season. I feel like they'll be more of a second half team because they're going to have a lot of injuries. I just can feel it. That's the whole thing. So pretty much with that, I think that this team winds up going under 93.5. I'm not saying they don't win over 90 games this year. I'm just saying that they don't go more than 93.5 wins this year. It's just they don't have the pitching. They have to prove their pitching to me. I can't say they don't have the pitching yet. They're going to just have to prove their pitching to me. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the super rival, the arch rival, the team that used to play in Uptown over at the Polo Grounds, and that's going to be the San Francisco Giants, formerly the New York Giants, the original New York Giants. Never forget that either. And they went 81-81 last season. This team was on course to possibly make the playoffs. They fell apart. And pretty much they never packed it in. They just fell apart. That's just what it was. And it was simply because injury hit at the wrong time, and they just weren't as good as that group that was there the year before. Even though that group was picked to finish dead last in the NL West, they still came back and were damn near set a team record on wins that year and beat the Dodgers by half a game to win the division, and then had one of the most epic wild card series you could have with a team when they beat the Dodgers, when they got beat by the Dodgers in Game 5 in San Francisco. So pretty much they're trying to get back into motion after that unfortunate situation. Now they do bring back majority of the guys that they had in the lineup last year, especially a very key player in Brandon Crawford, who's projected to bat fifth this year. Hit third, and they got him set up for 13 home runs, 58 RBIs this year, and 57 runs. So he's getting a little bit up there in age and everything like that. It happens, but he'll be somebody that can be an X factor for this team as well too, with his on base percentage. But he doesn't have the greatest batting average anymore either. It's a little bit below 250. You look at Lamont Wade, a guy that came literally out of nowhere a few years back, who pretty much saved his career. They got him projected to be the leadoff man, but 90 strikeouts at the top. That kind of worries me a little bit for a guy that's supposed to be your leadoff man. Then Estrada is a guy that is a young player that they're looking to hopefully have a big contribution this year as well. He had a pretty good game the other day in the Cactus League when the Giants won 9-6 over the Angels. He actually had 3 runs and a pair of doubles in that spot. So the guy is coming along very good. And he is seen as the top base stealer as well, too. He's projected to steal 18 bases this year and also hit 14 home runs. Jock Peterson is seen as the power man this year. 22 home runs projected for him this season and 68 RBIs. That would lead them in every single one of those categories. And Jock Peterson, knowing him, he probably will hit for these numbers are even better. And I know Jock Peterson loves it because he's back at home in the Bay. Even though he was a former Dodger and won a World Series with the Dodgers, we always knew that he had very much more appreciation for the Bay Area, and then he goes ahead and the Dodgers, the Dodgers move on. He goes to the Cubs. Cubs couldn't do what they wanted with him, and they moved him to the Braves. He helps the Braves win a world title and literally helped the Braves actually beat the Dodgers by being able to let them know the inside scouting report. And when, there was a lot of things, nobody ever questioned Jock Peterson about his involvement and how the Dodgers got beat by the Braves, but it's okay. That's how baseball works. You got to be smarter than the next team, and that's how it goes. But I'm looking at this group. I say that the thing that's going to make them really good this year, if their pitchers can be healthy. Now, Logan Webb, we know that he's an amazing pitcher. Alex Cobb, another amazing pitcher. Also, Sean Manaea is back in the Bay Area, so he's going to be very comfortable. He got traded to a team that really he did not fit with, and that was the Yankees. So Ross Stripling, former Dodger, they know him very well. And, if with a good pitching coach, Ross Stripling can be another guy that contributes heavy with this team. And then you got Alex Wood, another former Dodger, who was who I like a lot. He's a good lefty with a weird way to deliver the ball, but it's a very efficient way to deliver the ball. So when you look at pitching rotations, by far, the Giants got one of the best rotations in the division, if not in the National League as well, too. And that's where them and the Dodgers separate themselves from San Diego at this point. So I think that when we come down to the justification of it, that you can trust this Giants team to be just as good as they were back in 2021. So I feel like with this group, you have a really good bullpen as well, too. They are designated to have Duvall throw 33 saves this year as well. So, that's what they have projected for him this year. Those are good numbers. Then they got Desclafani, a guy in relief now who used to be a starter. Jake Junis, a guy who used to be a starter as well, too. So you got guys who can go long for you as well, and that should be good moving forward. So all in all, with the Giants, I'm going to go ahead and go over 81.5. I think that the Giants are going to be good enough to go over 81 games this year, and they'll be challenging the Dodgers and the Padres this year for the NL West crown, in my opinion. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break, and when I get back, we're going to go ahead and jump into the Blue Crew Daily, talk about these 2 young pups that the Dodgers got starting on the opening day roster this year, and then also talk about the NBA Tuesday night as well. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Night Quiz. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, here we are. Back at it. So pretty much here we are. The premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. So you know what? We got to talk some Dodger baseball, Dodger Blue Crew Daily. I love this subject, man. Blue Crew Daily. You got Outman and Vargas will be on the opening day roster today. Will they make an impact? Well, will they make an impact? Well, the thing is, James Outman made his debut last year, and it was absolutely incredible because he was a man already. Same thing goes for Miguel Vargas, is that when he came up, he was very impressive. Both these guys were literally ready for the league immediately. And pretty much Outman has been the star of the spring training, and with the emergence of Vargas was actually asked to not hit because he had a little bit of a finger injury and they didn't want him to agitate it. So pretty much what he did was he went up there and just took balls and strikes. And the funniest thing about it is he wound up actually having like a 500 on base percentage as well too. So they did something that was pretty fun where a guy's pretty much spent his first 2 weeks at bats just taking pitches. And I think that's something that's very good for him moving forward, because then he's going to know exactly what he likes and what he doesn't like. And he's going to know where the trajectory of the balls are coming from as well too. They see a potential all-star in Miguel Vargas. That's why they're taking this slow approach with them as well too. But they got to speed him up a little bit because the injury to Gavin Lux, that puts him in position to be one of our top infielders this year as well. So he'll probably be going between second and third base this year, or he may be in the outfield. But he's a good little utility guy for the Dodgers this year when it comes down to playing multiple positions, infield and outfield. Now, Outman will probably be the starting center fielder this year. Most likely he is the starting center fielder this year, or some type of fielder this year. If they move Mookie to the center field spot, then he'll move to Mookie's spot. But Mookie's going to be all over the outfield, and Mookie's going to be moonlighting at second base sometimes this year as well too. So I feel like the Dodgers might not have the greatest outfield in the league, but they're going to have one of the most adequate outfields in the league. I think that Outman probably will take over and become the new kid on the block, where everybody's just is so fascinated with how good he's playing. And I could see Miguel Vargas being right behind him with that. So I could feel like these two guys are going to probably wind up being the most popular guys on the Dodgers this year, because they're the newest guys on the Dodgers this year, and they're homegrown talent. That's how it always goes with the Dodgers. I've seen it with Piazza. I've seen it with Karros. I've seen it with Russell Martin. I've seen it with Andre Ethier. I've seen it with Matt Kemp. The list goes on and on. So pretty much when the Dodgers have what they feel are exciting rookies, they're always going to be the most popular players on the team. And these guys have to be ready for the pressure. And I think that they know that as well too. So I really do like the way that the Dodgers approach this season. As I said at the end of the year last year and the coming months, when the Dodgers weren't running after every top free agent, I said to myself, the Dodgers are finally going ahead and saying to themselves, they have to reset the payroll and bring up the kids from the farm that's been chomping at the bit and get rid of the guys that you're overpaying. And pretty much that's exactly what the Dodgers did. And that's just baseball 101 when you're running a great franchise. So yeah, you're gonna you're gonna lose some fan favorites. You're gonna lose some respect from some hardcore fans because you got rid of their favorite guy. But at the end of the day, it's about the betterment of the future for the Dodgers. And the Dodgers' future is so bright when it comes to the prospects that they do have on the farm, because they can either use these guys or they can use them as assets. The Dodgers are probably one of the only teams other than the Astros that have a bevy of wealth when it comes to how you can maneuver your players and still be able to be successful on the baseball diamond. So with that, I'll have more of a preview of the Dodgers tomorrow because it will be the Dodgers day, and I'll go ahead and pick the winner of the NL West as well too. So that's going to be Blue Crew Daily, and Blue Crew Daily will be back every day, Monday through Friday. As long as the Dodgers are playing that day, it will be on. So we'll have our first Blue Crew Daily on opening day for the Dodgers versus the Diamondbacks. So you guys be ready for that one as well too. And I'll break down a full preview of that game for you guys and break down my thoughts on is it important to win on opening day or is it not? We'll see. But all in all, that's the Dodgers report for you, the Blue Crew Daily. And man, I'm excited. Outman and Vargas, get ready. Those jerseys are going to be flying out of the gift shop. And just a heads up, he actually just changed his number from 77 to 33. Now we got NBA Tuesday night. We got 6 games on deck here in the NBA tonight. All these games are very important towards the playoffs as well too for all these teams. It's either about seeding or about just being in the playoffs. So we got ourselves some really, really good games tonight. I got 5 of them locked in for you guys tonight that I'm previewing. So let's go ahead and jump into that right now. All right, so pretty much we have ourselves up first, the Celtics and the Wizards. Now, the Celtics have pretty much gotten it back together after struggling a little bit here for the month, and the Wizards are absolutely falling apart now. So when I look at my notes that I put together for you guys, I put together a lot of notes. We got the Celtics leading the series 2-0, and this is going to be the final game between these two teams for the season. You have the Celtics, who are 8-5 in the month of March. You also have a team that's won their last 3 in a row in the Celtics as well. Then you also have the Celtics when it comes to being on the road. They've won their last 5 out of 6 as well. And when it comes to being on the road, they're number 1 in the NBA at 24-14. Also, they are 22-11 as a road favorite as well. And then when it comes to playing the Eastern Conference this year, they're 30-16 straight up. Now, against the spread, they're 41-34. That will make them good for 5th in the league in that category. Also, on the road, they're 20-18 against the spread. And then as a road favorite, it's a little different for them here. They're 16-17 in that department. Now, against the spread versus the Eastern Conference, they're 20-26. And over-unders in their 75 games this year, they've actually went ahead and went over in 37 of them. So this team is looking towards finishing strong. They 52 second most wins in the NBA right now. They're 2 games back from the first seed. They really were carrying that first seed for a good 3 months before they relinquished that lead. So Boston's really trying to get that home court advantage. They're trying to get that 1 seed because that's going to be critical against Milwaukee. Now, you got the Wizards, who are 4-10 in the month of March. They lost their last game 114-104, and they lost to Toronto as well too. Now at home, they're 17-19 straight up. And as a home underdog, they're 6-12 straight up. Now, versus the East, they're 19-27 straight up. And against the spread at home, they're 15-20-1. Now, as an underdog against the spread at home, they're 7-11. And then against the East, when it comes to the spread, 17-25-4. And in their 75 games, they've went under 38 times. So this team is trying to save face, but they're actually 3.5 games out now, from 3 games out exactly from, getting back into the playoff race. They're sitting at the 11th seed, but it feels like that this thing might be over for Washington this year because Washington only has so many games left. Washington only has 7 games left. They're down 3. So they would have to really go ahead and possibly win every single game and hope that they make the playoffs. You know what I mean? And that's going to be a tough task because Washington has a very tough schedule. Washington has Boston tonight. Then they got Orlando, who's been tough on them all season. Then they go to the Garden to play the Knicks. Then they play Milwaukee. Then they play Atlanta in Atlanta. And then they play Miami at home. They finish the season against Houston. Yeah, this is going to be a very tough path to the playoffs for Washington, in my opinion. So with that, we'll go ahead and we move forward from there. And pretty much thank you for the update as well, too. It looks like they dropped down the spread to about 11 points from what it was on the opening because it did open up at 233. Now it's at 222.5. Thank you for that information. I truly do appreciate it, nephew. Truly do. Just know, thank you for giving that to me. I just want to let everybody know I'm not just coming up with numbers for you guys. That was the actual number for this game, 233.5, when I was doing all my stuff earlier. So that's crazy. It drops 10 points because there's going to be some guys out tonight. So it does make a total sense as well tonight that that's occurring as well too. So, it is what it is at the end of the day. But I like the Wizards to actually cover in this game tonight because I think that everybody's going to overbet Boston. I'll keep it real with you. So let's go ahead, move forward from there. And you know what? I think that I might have made a mistake. I'm going to go ahead and switch this up to 223. I think I might have read it wrong. But 233.5 for you guys. Thank you for the correction, Mr. Osman. All right, so we move forward and we have the Cavs and the Hawks. The Cavs and the Hawks, it's going to be a good one tonight. 48-28 to the Cavs, 37-38 to the Hawks. The Hawks are going to be the home dog tonight with the plus 1.5 over under of 237.5 as well too. Now the Cavs come into this game red hot. The red hot. When I say hot, they hot. Now this is the final game of the season between these two teams. They are split. Now, the Cavs are 9-3 this month, and they've won their last 4 in a row. They're 18-20 straight up on the road, and they're 16-20-2 against the spread. Now, when it comes down to being a favorite, they're 16-8 straight up as a road fave, 12-10-2 as a road fave. Against the Eastern Conference, they are 31-15 in 46 games, 25-18-3 against the spread. When it comes down to the spread, they're 40-33. And when it comes down to the over and under in their 76 games, they are split at 38. So the Cavs are coming in here trying to figure out how they can get into that third spot. They're trying to jump the Sixers because the Sixers right now can be a little vulnerable to lose that spot because they are without Embiid. But I still feel like what's going to happen is they hold on to that spot. But I think that these top 4 spots have been solidified for a while here. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out with the Hawks, who are 6-7 in the month of March. They lost their last game, 123-119. That was a celebrity game too. I saw a bunch of rappers at that game as well too. So that was pretty funny that they had all those rappers at the game, and everybody was having a good time. Everybody was on camera and all that good stuff. Now at home, this team is 21-16 straight up. And when it comes down to the spread, they're 17-20 against the spread. And now when it comes down to being a home dog, they've been in this role 7 times. They're 2-5 straight up, 3-4 against the spread. And when it comes down to playing the Eastern Conference, they're 21-25 straight up, 19-26-1 against the spread. And when it comes down to the spread, they're 34-40-1. And when it comes down to their 75 games this year, they went over in 42 of them. So with this one tonight, I feel like this is going to be a game that the Hawks need way more than the Cavs do. So it's going to be simple for me. I'm going to circle the minus 130. I know I usually give you guys a dog in the super high 5, but today I got to play it smart because the Hawks are at home. They're coming off a loss against a way better team, in my opinion, and I think that they can go ahead and actually win this game tonight because they need this game badly because they are the 8th seed, but they are barely holding on to the spot. I'm looking at it now. They are only up. They're actually tied with Toronto, and they're only a game up on Chicago. So they really do need to win this game tonight, because if they fall off, then Chicago's going to be a half a game behind them. And then they're going to make it really hard on themselves, playoff wise, because when you're the 8th seed, you get an opportunity to actually try to play yourself still into the playoffs. That's the whole thing. You know what I mean? So pretty much with the 8th seed, if you lost to Toronto, then you would still get the opportunity to, actually try to get yourself into into the actual plan. You know what I mean? So, with that, you want the 8th seed, you really do, because, that's what it is at the end of the day. So pretty much with that, I do like the way that this is setting up, but Atlanta is kind of in position to where they're not going to be able to win the Southeast, even though they were right there at the cuspice of it. It's just kind of impossible with only 7 games left on the season. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out, but actually 6 games. So, Atlanta just needs to honestly go 3-3, and they'll possibly be right where they need to be. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. We move forward from there. All right, we move forward, and we have the Heat and the Raptors, and the Heat are actually trailing in this season series this year. Raptors are up 2-1. The Heat come into this game 7-6 in the month of March. They lost their last game by 29 to Brooklyn, 129-100. On the road, straight up, they're 14-21. Against the spread, they're 17-20-1. Now, as a road dog, they are 5-11 and 7-9 against the spread. And then when it comes down to playing the Eastern Conference, they're 21-25 straight up versus the East, and then they're 19-26-1 against the spread versus the Eastern Conference. Now, when it comes down to the actual spread, they're 34-40-1. And when it comes down to their 75 games, they've went under in 39 of them. So the Heat looking to go ahead and keep their lead healthy. That's all, because they know what they got to do. They got to just keep winning basketball games. It's that simple. It's that simple. They just got to keep winning games. Raptors, same thing. Raptors are the 9 hole right now for the division. The Raptors are 6-6 here in the month of March. They've won their last 2 games in a row. They're 25-14 straight up at home, and they are 23-15-1 against the spread at home. Now, when it comes down to being a home favorite, they're 22-10, 22-10 straight up as a home fave, 19-12-1 against the spread. Now, when it comes down to playing the Eastern Conference, 22-23 straight up versus the East, 22-21-2 when it comes to the spread versus the Eastern Conference. Now, against the spread in general, they're 37-36-2. And then when it comes down to their 75 games this year, they've actually went over in 42. Surprise, surprise. So you have a Heat team that's 40-35. You have a Raptors team that's 37-38. The Raptors are actually 2.5 games behind. They're actually 3 games behind Miami at this point. But I think that they just need to worry about jousting here with Atlanta and holding off Chicago at this point. But I think that we already do have the plan set on the Eastern Conference side. So pretty much I still like the Heat tonight. I still like them tonight, though. I still like the Heat a lot tonight. And I think the Raptors are a team that you can always kind of choke up a little bit. But I think the best bet here is just to go ahead and say, you know what, let's relax on all of that. And let's take the over 218.5. I feel like we're going to get a big night for some guys on the Heat that usually don't have big nights. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, so we have ourselves up next, the Magic and the Grizzlies. The Magic come into this game 32-43. You have the Grizzlies who are 47-27. The Grizzlies are a 7.5-point favorite tonight, and the over-under at 228.5. So when I look at my notes for this one, I see that the Grizzlies did win the only game that they played this season, and they beat them. They beat them pretty evenly, pretty fairly over in Orlando. And then the Magic this month are 6-7. They've lost their last 3 in a row as well too. They are struggling a bit, and they're 13-24 on the road. They're not really good on the road. They're 12-22 straight up as the road dog. And then straight up, first the Western Conference, they're 14-15. Now, when it comes down to the spread, they're 42-32-1. That's good for fourth in the league. Now, when it comes down to the road and the spread, 21-15-1 as a road dog, 20-13-1. Now, versus the West, they're number one against the spread, 19-9-1. And in their 75 games, they've went under in 37 of them. So the Magic looking to go ahead and try to get themselves a nice little upset tonight because the Magic are always live. Let's just know that part. Paolo Banchero can keep them in any game. And then you got Franz Wagner as well, too. And then Markelle Fultz is playing exceptional basketball right now. They're not even talking about Markelle Fultz. Everybody had already wrote him off as a flop, but you got to understand these guys were 18 when they got to the league. So it happens. You know what I mean? The guys just have to learn how to play NBA basketball, and that's exactly what he did. Now, the Grizzlies coming here, the hottest team in the league right now. They're 10-4 in the month of March. They won their last 6 in a row as well, too. They're also 3-0 since Ja Morant's return. They were 5-3 without him. So this team is the number one team when it comes to home wins and losses. They're 32-5. When it comes to being a home fave, straight up, they're 29-4. Also, when it comes down to playing the Eastern Conference, they're 19-8 this year. Now, also, when it comes down to the spread, 35, 37-2. At home against the spread, 20-14-1. 18-14-1 against the spread is a home fave. And then against the spread versus the East, 16-10-1. Now, when it comes down to the over and under in their 74 games this year, they've went under in 39 of them. So the Grizzlies tonight look like they should run away with this game. I'm going to be dead honest with you guys. And I don't like taking big favorites and things like that on the super high five. But when it's a 7-point favorite with the team that's the best home team in the league going against a team that struggles mightily on the road as much as Orlando does, even though I know they do cover, they still struggle, and they struggle really hard against the better teams in the NBA. And I think that the Grizzlies know that they can't really slack in this game, and they're trying to hold off Sacramento as well, too. I know they want that 2 seed, and they possibly can still get that 1 seed as well, too, from what I'm seeing. So, the fight isn't over yet to get that. They're 3.5 games out from the 1 seed, and I know that they still have that as a goal for themselves as well, too. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Grizzlies today with the -7. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the nightcap, and that's going to be the Pelicans and the Warriors. And the Pelicans actually lead this series 2-1. They're 38-37 on the season, and the Warriors are 39-37. As the Pelicans snuck themselves back into the A seed after struggling so hard at one point. I think they had lost 9 in a row, and now they find themselves, it kept being like, when they going to get out the playoffs? So pretty much they were at the 11 seed for about 2 weeks, and they worked themselves back into the playoff mix and literally just jumped Dallas and found themselves in the 8th seed after getting a big win the other night. So they, as I said already, they've already had their way with the Warriors this year. The last time that they played back in December, they beat the Warriors by 45 points, but that was in New Orleans, and the other one was in New Orleans as well, too. So tonight, you got a Pelicans team coming in here 8-5 in the month of March. They've won their last 5 in a row. They're only 14-24 on the road, and they're 7-18 straight up as a road underdog. Now, when it comes down to being straight up versus the West, they're 26-20. And against the spread, they're 36-38-1. Now, on the road against the spread, they're 15-22-1. And as a road fave, they're 7-6 against the spread. And then versus the West, they're 24-21-1 versus the Western Conference. And then in their 75 games, they've went under in 39 of them. Now, the Warriors are 7-7 here in the month of March. They've actually played some pretty good games here the last few games, but they did lose their last game 99-96 to Minnesota, who needed the game really bad. So pretty much the Warriors were not able to close that one out the way that they would want to. Now, the Warriors are one of the better teams at home. They're 30-8 straight up, and then they are 25-12-1 against the spread at home. Also, when it comes to being a home favorite, they are 25-8. And then when it comes down to being a home fave against the spread, they're 20-12-1. Now, when it comes to playing the Western Conference, they're 25-21 straight up and 21-25 against the spread. Now, against the spread overall, they're 35-40-1. And when it comes down to their 75 games, they've went over in 41 of them, and they are the third place team when it comes to that category. So with that, I feel like this game is going to wind up being a scoreboard game, and I feel like both teams are going to play a little bit of defense tonight. Shooting's not going to be as prolific as it usually is, and so pretty much I'm going to go ahead, and I think that they are giving the Warriors a bit too many points tonight for a team that's absolutely dog tired at this point. So I truly do feel like tonight we can go ahead and play the under 234.5. Let's go ahead and get into talking tickets. And up first, let's go ahead and jump into the NIT bets. And my NIT bets for the winners of the game, those are actually going to be for my clients, but I'm going to give out the team total for you guys tonight. And this is going to be Wisconsin over 56 team total. And then we also have Utah Valley University, UVU, under 73.5 team total tonight. So that's going to be our bets for the NIT tonight. And there, you can't parlay these on most books. I know you can parlay them on FanDuel, but I don't use FanDuel. I don't like books that promote impulsive gambling. Them and DraftKings. I think that they're kind of toxic for the game. But I'm not telling you don't bet on them. It's just that just understand that they're going to piss you off a lot. So let's go ahead and look at the NBA for tonight. The NBA, we got a good card in my opinion. We got a 23-1 ticket. We have the Wizards who are plus 11 tonight. We got the Hawks at home minus 130. Then I'm taking the over 218.5 with the Heat and the Raptors. And then we got the Grizzlies, the best home team in the NBA. And they're winners of their last 6 in a row. Why not? -7 to the Grizzlies. Hopefully they win this by double digits or better. And then we go ahead and we wrap it up with the Pelicans and Warriors going under 234.5. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that's going to be our tickets for today. And that's going to be our show for today. So I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in. You guys are the absolute best. There is no me without you, as I always like to say. And today, I really felt good about doing this with you guys because, I did all my little notes and did everything in, professional form for y'all today. Not just throwing things together and moving forward, but we got some good thorough bets going today. We got 7 in total, so you can single any of those if you like to. And then, as I always say, you guys can go ahead and get yourself a big reward for a small risk if you guys do want to jump into the super high 23-1 odds. And as I always like to say, if you go ahead and throw 20 on that bad boy, you will get 460 back plus your 20. That's 480. So let's see what you can do. Let's go ahead and try to get the money, baby. You know how it goes. So once again, I want to send a big shout out to my man Jeff Dawson, the Don of Cape Cod. I also want to send a big shout out to ECSI, all the team over there. I want to send a shout out to my team, PTSI as well too. All my great clients as well. And then I want to always send a shout out to you, the listener, the viewer, that you guys are absolutely awesome. And I thank you guys so much for keeping me motivated as well too. So I'll be back to you guys tomorrow at about 1 o'clock. So you guys be ready for another great show. And I look forward to it. I hope you do the same. And, you guys, as I always like to say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. And this is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.